Streaming from Oklahoma's own digital studio, this is OU Football Update, brought to you by Brahms.
All right, welcome back, everybody. There's our Friday preview. OU and Temple coming up this week. We're headed to Philadelphia, and Kevin Copp, the play-by-play voice of the Owls, joins us. I got to know Kevin last year when Temple came to Norman for the season opener. Now we're going to his neck of the woods for this one. Kevin, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. What a difference a year makes. Things are a little different up here in Philly than they were the last time we met.
Well, let's start with that. I mean, what a great start. First off, you got a different head coach than you had last year. You go get Casey Keeler, and through 2 games, the team has looked great, and it looks like the fan base is fired up too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, the excitement this offseason was already high. First of all, you get a coaching change, it's just a fresh infusion of energy into the program. But, Casey Keeler, because of the resume, because of what he had done before coming here to Temple, won an FCS national championship at Delaware, won an FCS national championship at Sam Houston just a couple years ago, second winningest active coach in college football. So that kind of resume coming here to Temple, I think, got folks excited. And then, as you said, Toby, you see the first 2 weeks on the field. You go up to UMass, 42-10 win. Come back at home against Howard, 55-7. Yeah, probably 2 games that Temple was going to be expected to win regardless, but the way they've done it, the kind of football that they're putting out on the field, it's given folks a lot of reason to be encouraged.
Second winningest active coach in America. By the way, the winningest, we're going to see him this year as well. Brian Kelly at LSU has the most wins. Well, how has he done it? What have you noticed through 2 weeks? They're scoring a lot of points and they're not giving up points, and that's usually a pretty good formula. But what have you noticed that Casey Keeler has done to turn things around so quickly?
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of the guys, obviously it's going to be a mix of the transfer portal and reshaping the roster, but a lot of the guys that have put up some pretty impressive performances are guys that were on the roster. And so I think it's just maybe a fresh set of eyes and some development. I think the offense, if you want to start there, has been the most impressive unit. Evan Simon, who's locked down the starting quarterback job, 9 touchdown passes, no interceptions. In fact, he's only thrown 8 incomplete passes. So he's just done a great job of getting the ball to a lot of different receivers. They've got some new weapons. JoJo Bermudez has been Temple's leading receiver, transfer out of Delaware, small, undersized, but tough and physical, has won some one-on-one battles, has got great speed. And they've got a running game, which is something that has really been a point of emphasis for Temple. The last couple of years, they have really struggled to run the ball. Jay Ducker, who's the only player that came with Casey Keeler from Sam Houston, rushes for 100 yards in his first Temple game. First time a running back has done that in a couple of seasons for Temple. So that kind of production, I think, has opened things up for the passing game. And yeah, the offense just looks light years different than it has in the past few seasons.
Tell me more about the quarterback, Evan Simon. It looks like he's big enough and strong enough to be a pocket passer, but also has a little bit of mobility to him.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to confuse him for a true dual-threat quarterback, but he can do just enough. And actually, I think he's been a little bit more effective with his legs this year. And I think it's more just a product. Evan Simon's he's a fifth-year college football player. He's in his 3rd year in the Temple program. He transferred here from Rutgers. I think he just has a great command of the offense. He's got great coordination with this new coaching staff that's come in. Not just Casey Keeler, but Tyler Walker, the offensive coordinator from Montana State. They had the number 1 offense in the FCS last year. So I think that Simon he's a really heady player. I think he picks his moments to use his feet. But yeah, the passing game is really where he's excelled.
And watching your first 2 games, the guy that jumps off the screen at me on offense is the tight end. Big number 88. Heck of a player.
Yeah, Peter Clark, and here's a great example of a guy that has been in this program for a long time. Actually he was recruited here out of England. Interesting path to get to Temple, but this is a guy that's been through the program for 5 years and is having this resurgent campaign. So I think it's a great example of, I think, a fresh set of eyes with the coaching staff coming in, finding a way to use him. They have been very clear about the fact that he needed to get tougher as a blocker, and that has kind of earned him some of the looks that he's gotten on the field. And yeah, that first game against UMass, he catches 4 balls, 2 of them for touchdowns, and a couple of really spectacular catches as well. So yeah, he's been a big part of it.
One intriguing story is the new offensive coordinator, Tyler Walker. Is that right?
Yes.
Came from Montana State, and I haven't done a deep dive on him yet, but the blurb, at least in the game notes, said he used to be a defensive coordinator, and now he's an offense. I don't know that I've ever seen that before. A DC turns into an OC, and then led Montana State to historic numbers last year. So he's an interesting guy.
He really is, and you know, Montana State to Temple doesn't immediately, you know, strike you as the leap that he was going to make, but boy, he's been great, and he found his calling on offense. I'm sure he'd be a great defensive coach as well, but the way that he's been able to draw things up, the creativity and the wrinkles, he's just done a good job. When you look at Temple, I mean, last week against Howard, it's Howard, but they had 500 yards of total offense, 300 yards of rushing offense, and they didn't have a single 100-yard rusher or 100-yard receiver. So he does a really good job of just mixing the ball around, getting different guys involved. And so you, at some point you have to say a good bit of that is because of the scheme and the matchups that they've been able to exploit. He's done a really, really good job.
What have you seen so far defensively, and what's different from a year ago?
Yeah, the difference on defense is the amount of depth that this team has. And in fact, you know, I don't think there's necessarily the top end talent that there is on the offensive end in terms of the eye-catching numbers. I think Cameron Stewart, if there is a guy that you wanted to pick that's kind of jumped off of the page in the first couple of weeks, number 25. I knew he drew some attention in the Oklahoma coaches' press conferences earlier this week. He's got 3 sacks through 2 weeks and has been great, but I think the interesting thing is how deep they've rotated on defense. We're seeing a lot of twos in the game, even early on, and even some third-string guys. So I think there's just a lot more in terms of numbers. I think they really like the front 7. Defensive line and linebackers are where the strength of this defense has been. But I just think it's more guys that are able to get in, rotate in, keep this defense fresher, and keep them much more competitive than they were a year ago.
Here's something only you and I care about, but Temple also leads the nation in Stewarts. I believe they have 5 guys with the last name of Stewart on their roster.
That is really in our neck of the woods as a broadcaster. They're not all spelled the same, but they all sound the same. So if you get mixed up, Toby, on Saturdays, if in doubt, it's a Stewart.
Just say some Stewart's got the ball. Tell me about what the reaction has been from the fan base through 2 weeks.
It's been great. It's been great. I mean, again, I think you can just feel the excitement in the offseason, and then you see this team go on the road, take care of business the way they did against UMass. And then Howard's the home opener. It's an FCS opponent, a regional opponent coming up from Washington, D.C., but they're not going to bring an enormous crowd. And I thought the link looked really good for a home game. We actually had some weather. We had a 30-minute lightning delay, which didn't help, but I thought it was a good crowd, and you could see the excitement. And I think, you know, for Coach Keeler coming from Sam Houston, there's got to be a little bit of unknown for him, just what the fan base is going to be like, what the game day environment was going to be like. And I think he was genuinely impressed by what he saw from Lincoln Financial Field. And, of course, all of that pales in comparison to this week, Oklahoma coming in. I think this series got announced in 2019 or so, 2018 or 19, and this has been one that Temple fans have had circled on the calendar since then. I mean, it is not every day you get a program of the caliber of Oklahoma to come here to Lincoln Financial Field. So this is one that folks are going to be up for, and I think it's an added bonus that the teams are both 2-0 coming into it. You've got that great storyline, but I think this is one that people are going to be fired up for no matter what.
Grueling 2-week stretch here. After this week, you go to Atlanta to take on Georgia Tech next week. Haynes King, and they're a good squad down there too. So we'll see.
Know, these schedules get set so far in advance, they don't take into account a first-year head coach having to get Oklahoma and Georgia Tech back-to-back into conference play.
Welcome, Coach Keeler. We need to talk to you about weeks 3 and 4 of the schedule coming up. Let's talk about the link. I'm excited. NFL stadiums, we don't get to play in those all the time. So what's your anticipation as to what the crowd will look like? I assume maybe not all of it's open. I don't know. What will the scene be on Saturday?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know. You know, the closest comp that I think we have, this is the biggest game at the Link on the college football side, at least in 10 years. You go back to the 2015 season, Temple opened up by hosting Penn State. They actually beat Penn State in that game for the first time in 74 seasons, started 7-0 and got Notre Dame in here. That was when College Game Day came to town. And both of those games, Penn State and Notre Dame, full sellout, 70,000, give or take, the capacity at Lincoln Financial Field. So, I assume it's going to be a heavy contingent of Oklahoma folks. I hope that Oklahoma fans that live in the Northeast or that, are excited to get to see something that's kind of outside of the typical footprint are going to come here. And, I think it's going to be a great crowd from a Temple standpoint as well. The weather looks good on Saturday. The opponent's good. The team's 2-0. So we have all the right pieces. I think what you look for in terms of a typical atmosphere in a bigger game is you want that lower bowl full. Whether or not they're going to open the upper bowl and have the full 70,000 available to us, I don't know. I hope that becomes something that we have to contend with, because with some of the bigger games that we've had, at least in the kind of modern history of Temple's program, it has happened from time to time.
Any idea what the lower bowl seats? Is it 30, 35?
It's about that. It's about 30 to 35, and then you've got some of the club level and suites that factor in there as well. They're kind of in that mezzanine level. So, if you get that, a couple of years ago, I think Temple had Rutgers here, good regional rival, power conference team, and had that lower bowl pretty full with about 35,000. It'll feel good. It'll feel good down on the field, and I think you'll get a good atmosphere out of it.
Satisfy your sweet tooth with a Brahms old-fashioned banana split. Crafted with a delicious banana, split down the middle and filled with not one, but 3 scoops of Brahms premium ice cream flavors. To complete this masterpiece, all your favorite toppings are poured on each scoop to bring it all together in a perfect harmony of flavor. Treat yourself to an old-fashioned banana split at Brahms, where every spoonful leaves you wanting more.
I sent a tweet out yesterday asking Sooner fans that are going to this game, where are you coming from? And I checked it right before we started this interview. We've heard from fans from 30 different states.
Wow.
Washington, D.C., and Canada.
That's great.
I mean, that could be 100 people that happen to be coming from 30 different states. But I think, Oklahoma doesn't get to the Northeast very often. So I think Sooner fans in New York City and Boston and Washington, D.C. and Baltimore and anywhere within striking distance are going to try to make it. So I'm hoping that it turns into a fun environment.
Likewise.
On Saturday.
No,
I think
we're welcoming everyone. Come on down. It's the city of brotherly love. Everyone should come check it out. We definitely we'll show you our northern version of Southern hospitality.
What's your recommendation? Speaking of that, Sooner fans coming to the game. I mean, Philadelphia's a big place. There's a lot to do. It's historic and everything. But if you just could recommend 2 or 3 things to Sooner fans that they have to do where they're in town, or a place they have to eat, what's your recommendations?
Absolutely. So, you've got the iconic Rocky Steps. You've got the Philadephia Art Museum. Fans of our age will remember Rocky and enjoy that. So you can run up the Rocky Steps. They've got the Rocky statue you can pose with there. If you want to go into the Museum of Art, it's a great art museum, but I think the fun stuff is all outside. That's right there. And what's great about Philadelphia, it's a big populated city, but it's pretty compact. And all the historic stuff, if you're a history buff or a history nerd like myself, you've got the Liberty Bell is right there, and across the street is Independence Hall, which is where the Declaration of Independence was signed. Ben Franklin's house is right there. Betsy Ross's house is right there. There's a National Constitution Center museum. So there's a lot of great American history that's in a couple of square block footprint that you can walk around. And then, Lincoln Financial Field itself is in South Philadelphia. It's the sports complex here at Philly, so it's a little bit different in that you've got the football stadium, you've got the baseball stadium where the Phillies play, and you've got the arena for our basketball team and our hockey team, the Sixers and Flyers, all in one gigantic, expansive parking lot. So it's a little bit, it works great for tailgating. It's a little bit of a different, it's not Norman where you're on campus and you've got the stadium in the middle of the campus. It's definitely a different environment, but great tailgating down there. And any cheesesteak that you're going to find in Philadelphia, you can't go wrong. We can debate the merits of Pat's versus Geno's versus everything else. Any of them are good. If you're having your first cheesesteak here, go get the touristy one at Pat's and Geno's. You'll still love it. It's great. But anywhere you find is going to be good. I think I've now been recommended 10 different cheesesteak spots. Jim's, John's, Gus's, D'Alessandro's, Pat's, Geno's. I think I bet they're all delicious. So. They are. I will say, I may hit them all. There you go. That's the best way to do it. John's Roast Pork, which you mentioned John's, and there is right down by the stadiums. It's on Snyder Avenue, way off the beaten path. You wouldn't have any reason to go there unless you were going there. That's the one. That's the best cheesesteak in Philly. So last question, most important question.
visiting radio booth? How is it?
It's lower than it is.
I don't like the pause. You scared me with the pause here.
No, you'll be closer to the field than you were in Norman.
Okay.
You won't need the huge binoculars, just the big ones. No, it's good. It's an NFL stadium. They'll take good care of you. I'll tell you what. It doesn't help either of us. They've got a really nice TV booth, but no one ever thinks about radio.
Come on, that's not very nice at all. Well, I can't wait. Kickoff 12:02 Eastern Time on Saturday. Kevin Copp will be on the call for the Temple Radio Network. Kevin, thanks so much. Appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you early on Saturday morning.
Likewise. Happy to have you up.
All right, see you, buddy. And that'll do it for this edition. We'll talk to you on Monday with a recap of OU and Temple.
Thank you for watching this Oklahoma Zone digital studio stream. Stay with News 9, online and on television anytime for the latest news, weather, and sports.